What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, a combo Pay-Per-Viewpoint, because we are going to breeze through the AAA and WWE Worlds Collide show and talk about those matches and our preview for that. And then we're going to get into Money in the Bank, the real purpose of us doing this, because that's the one that has more actual value to us and everything. So 4 matches to talk about there, the 2 titular ladder matches, and then the 2 other matches that we got on the card. And then we also have all the Worlds Collide stuff. We're going to do that first, breeze through that, get that out of the way, and start getting into the Money in the Bank stuff. But if you don't know who we are, and you're brand new to this podcast, then let me just introduce who is going to be talking for this episode. And it's usual suspects here. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert DeFelice.
Truly, because we're doing a double header, it is the best of times and the blurst of times. Hello, everyone. I'm Robert.
That is very true. I am very much the blurst. And as always as well, Callum Wiggins.
Sorry, I was just doing my impression of our Truth's new theme music.
Which is actually
worse. It could be worse because it could have just started with "People over there, what's up," and then just stops.
People over. We're going to talk about our Truth getting released on the next episode of the Hot Tags. Our Truth, Carlito, Valhalla, and everybody's biggest story of the week, Freedom Ramsey. All 4 of them no longer in WWE. We will talk about that later on Friday. We'll also do the other episode that could have been a separate thing if we were more dedicated to it. We'll talk about TNA Against All Odds. It's the other event that's happening this weekend. That'll be on the Hot Tags too, because it's another thing that we don't really watch. So we could have lumped Worlds Collide in with that, but I kind of figured, all right, well, we have more to talk about on the Hot Tags already, just from our Truth and Carlito, than what we have with Worlds Collide. So let's go ahead and just knock that out, because backstory on this side of things before we get into our actual, quote unquote breakdown. I have not seen a single AAA match, I think, in my entire life, all the way through. If I have, I do not remember. That's as much as I am tapped into AAA. So you're not going to see me being able to tell you anything about pretty much any of these people, except for the WWE people. But if you have anything to say about these things, just because we don't, doesn't mean that you can't hit up the comment section below, or you can't chat it up over on our Discord server. And there is an indie channel over there that you can dedicate to that. There's not a dedicated AAA channel because that would get 0 traction whatsoever. But if you want to head and post on that, then go ahead. If you want to, during the pay-per-view, we'll have the live coverage up on smarkandmoment.com and everything like that. That's the WWE section as far as I'm concerned, because it's the WWE show technically. So let us know what we don't know about this whole Worlds Collide setup like that. Keep in mind as well, too, if you want to support us and you are clicking around on YouTube and everything, that you should hit the like button, you should subscribe, ring that notification bell, get the email alerts set up for when we go live for the one post show that I'm going to do for this, because I'm not going to do a post show separate for Worlds Collide. That's going to be bleeding into the Money in the Bank show, so I'm not going to watch that while doing a post show about a show that I'm probably not going to have anything to say about. So we're going to do a combo thing for that as well. Set up those email alerts for that. And of course, if you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, make sure that you also click on the join button and the thanks button that are over there on YouTube. Get access to the same stuff as the Patreon, like the Darkcast tier, the Pick a Poison tier, etc., etc. And keep in mind, too, that the next Darkcast is going to be finishing out our Mount Rushmore of the pro wrestling baby faces of all time that we didn't finish the last time around with our heels and faces discussion. So all that good stuff, Redbubble and TeePublic as well when it comes to the merch shops, which should be on the YouTube channel, but it's been a month of me asking Dashery, why the fuck is this not working right? And they take 2 to 3 weeks at a time, and then they get back to me and say, you should have that working. And then I go, no, I don't, you jackasses. And then they don't get back to me. So middle finger to Dashery. They are fucking idiots over there. And if you want Redbubble and TeePublic stuff, you got to go to the actual websites. You can't click on YouTube. we'll figure that out in due time if they get off their lazy asses. So, Worlds Collide. It is a WWE, NXT, somewhat TNA, and AAA show. At this point, they haven't announced anybody from TNA. So maybe that fell through.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah,
Oh, they
that's
have?
technically not true. Yeah, Laredo Kid is also signed.
Laredo
with
Kid
TNA,
is a TNA superstar.
Oh, is he? I thought he was AAA.
He's both. He's signed to
He's
both.
both.
So they're like, nah, that's lame.
Well, I don't know.
I'm just being
if
technical. Just being
Yeah, technically that is true, but yeah, that's like being like, oh man, let's repeat what Ava had said, where she was like, I want somebody from Raw or SmackDown, WWE, and NXT, and you're like, okay. I forgot I'm not on camera for this. I made a face right then.
I love that everyone's pretending to be pissed off for Sean Legacy. like if they care.
Well, let's go ahead and start there for this, because again, backtracking, this is one of the few things that I'll actually have anything to say about. The Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT North American Championship. A few weeks ago, Sean Legacy from Evolve puts out a random, hey, Javon Evans, we should have a match. I think that I could win. That should be fun. And that gets overheard by Ashanti the Adonis, who's like, hey, you both suck. I could beat both of you. And then Ricky Saints overhears that and goes, how about the three of you fight and the winner fights me? And the implication is at Battleground. If he didn't flat out say it, I'm pretty sure he flat out said it. And then it gets, okay, well, that's not at Battleground. And instead it's going to be Ethan Page and Ricky Saints on the next episode after Battleground. You just, it doesn't fucking matter. Sean Legacy wins that match, so he gets the title shot, but that doesn't matter. He's going to be pushed off to the side. Ethan Page wins the North American Championship, and the immediate response is, instead of, okay, well, Ethan Page is going to face Sean Legacy, it's, no, we already announced that this is going to be an NXT North American title match at Worlds Collide, so how about Javon Evans, the guy who lost the triple threat, Ray Fénix from SmackDown, and Laredo Kid from AAA/TNA, TNA AA, I guess. And they actually bring it up backstage and they're like, what about Sean Legacy? And Ava's like, well, wait.
And like, I know that upsets people, but I'm also just like, yeah, this is the one time where it's just okay. Like, it's okay that she said that. Like, I'm not at all bothered that Sean Legacy is winning.
I'm not like, it needed to happen, but it's like, man, if you set up a logical course of action and then you go out of your way to like divert it a bunch of times, did you really just not want him to have that match? Or are they actually going to bother to tell a story of him being like, yo, what the fuck? I earned a title shot, which is going to be even weirder if he ends up winning the Evolve title tomorrow night. But he's not in this match, but he, of course, is going to potentially at some point in the future face the winner of this match, or Ricky Saints if they end up going. Well, Ricky Saints deserves a rematch in the meantime. I think the only thing to rule out here is Laredo Kid and Ray Fénix are definitely not winning this. So it's either Ethan Page retains or Evans wins the belt. And I could see either scenario happening.
Ray Fénix is winning the title.
You're going in that direction. Okay, sell me on it, because I think it's a guaranteed that he's not.
What do I need to sell you on? You get Ray Fénix as a champion in WWE. The AAA crowd is happy. He gets to make a few appearances on NXT and be like, yeah, what's up? I'm on NXT. Here's your main roster ratings pop that may or may not happen. And then he'll lose it back to Ethan Page and we'll move on.
I don't think they're going to bother with that. I think that Fénix just was going to be on the card and they're like, throw him in there. And he's there to be on the card and he's there to do some fun things and then eventually not take the pin. Because I think Laredo
my argument with that is, if you were going to have Ray Fénix on a card to do some fun things, there's a ladder match happening a few hours after the show that he could have been involved in.
I mean, you got to save that for El Grande Americano, right?
Oh, he is a great luchador.
We'll talk about him in a minute.
I think they didn't put him in a ladder match because they don't want him to be interacting with Pentagon yet, and they decided to go with Penta instead.
Yeah, that's a good point too. because those two would have to be fighting at some point in the match.
No, they wouldn't. They could do a stare down, and then they just fucking flip onto everybody else. And then they're like, hey, cool, we got a glimpse of Lucha Brothers in WWE. That's the best reason to have them in the same match. They can flip.
I do think that there is a chance Javon wins this. And that's partially because it's just, well, Javon Evans has been cycling around this for a while. It's partially because maybe they put the belt on Ethan Page to be a transition for that. And it's partially because maybe that's the only thing that'll be like actually interesting that happens on this show.
It does seem to be an odd choice to just put the title straight onto Ethan Page like last week and then just have him drop it immediately when Ricky Starks could have done, Silky Saint, should I say, could have done the same thing and just not taken the pin in the match if you were desperate to protect him. So I think it's probably most likely that Page just retains the title and just continues moving onwards.
Do these predictions count towards Fantasy League?
No, it's only Money in the Bank.
Okay, so yeah, Fénix is winning.
So if something was on the line, if something was on the line, so this is the opposite of the bullet in the head thing. You're just going to say things in this instance.
I'd be a little less confident, but I also just think of the 4 men in the match, who's the number 1 star here? It's Fénix.
Yeah, because Aerostar's not in this match.
Yeah, he is. Is he on this card? I don't think so.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
But yeah, I think that they'll just go with Ethan Page because they've put the title on him seemingly for a reason. I don't think it's necessary because he's a massive draw in Mexico.
Are we getting a 6-sided ring?
Oh, do they have that?
For a non-TNA show?
Well, AAA does the 6 sides.
They do?
Oh, they do, don't they? Yeah. I'd assume not because it's the same venue they're doing Money in the Bank in, right? So I don't think
it's a different venue.
This is Kia Forum and the Money in the Bank's at the Intuit Dome. But it's like 5 minutes away driving.
Yeah. I don't think they'd waste the time doing that. It's primarily a WWE/NXT show, just with AAA talent on it and one half AAA, half TNA talent on it. So I don't think that they'll like mess it around too much because that makes it feel like it's a AAA show when it's not a AAA show.
It's a Triple H show.
That's not even that, really, is it? It's Michael's one.
Oh, I guess that's true. Well, no, I imagine he's probably one in charge of this one.
It took like 10 minutes to be like, how about these guys are the people we can send over? And that's it.
Exactly.
Depends on if his name's on the credits or not.
Yeah, it's a leaf-fitting show.
Yeah.
Well, the setup with that, I think, more than likely the byproduct out of this is Page retains, and then we just get a follow-up with Ricky Saints. Maybe Ricky does screw him over, though, and it's like he comes out, starts attacking Ethan Page, and then like Javon pins Laredo Kid or something like that. But I'm going to go Ethan Page as well. I think that more than likely the champion retains in more scenarios. But we just brought the name up. Aero Star, Mr. Iguana, and Octagón Jr., names I'm extremely familiar with, are going up against the LWOs, Dragon Lee, Cruz del Toro, and we can assume Joaquin Wilde, but maybe not, because he apparently got injured in a WWE speed match against Lexus King last night.
He got knocked out. So he's just what it is? Okay. But he got knocked out during the match.
Do we know anything about like any of the concussion protocols? If he like passed all of that or anything?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I would assume he's working, but if not, they'll probably just drop one of the people on the other side and turn it into a tag match.
Or throw somebody else in there if they have somebody like on standby. I don't know who necessarily, but we know at the very least that like Savio Vega is supposed to pop up on here. So it's like, I don't know, maybe Savio is able to go. Maybe he steps in and does that. You're not going to be able to like at the last minute be like, hey, Bad Bunny or something. And Andrade's working the other card, although we will come back to the idea of, people can work 2 cards on the same show. But if Joaquin Wilde is not able to compete, then they still haven't announced that yet. And it could just be a touch and go thing, or maybe he's totally fine. Hopefully he's fine. this is a 6-man tag for absolutely nothing, and I am assuming that 3 AAA guys win.
Poor Dragon Lee. Look, just by you saying that, I feel bad for Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee came in with some buzz, and you don't feel like he's gonna win?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
AAA people have to win some of these things, and I don't think they're going to win everything, but I think that there's a 50-50 shot with some of these matches, and overall, I'm assuming LWO loses.
If he buzzes around Mr. Iguana, he's probably going to get eaten.
Are any of these guys like anything that we should really be paying attention to? Like,
I watched Aerostar a lot in because he was part of Lucha Underground, yeah. So
he's good.
Yeah, but he's a lot older. Well, I say a lot older. He's about 5 years older than he was when Lucha Underground was happening. So he's a 40-year-old guy now. Still good, but I think that there's limits to what he can do now compared to what he could do back then. Mr. Iguana seems, just from what I can see of it, he looks like a comedy guy. Like, he can do the high-flying stuff, but he doesn't... let's put it this way, he doesn't look imposing in any way. If you see any pictures of him. And Octagón Jr. is he's the third Octagón Jr.
Shouldn't he be Octagón the third?
No. He's the third.
No, because he'd be the third junior, so it'd actually be Octagón the fourth almost in that way. but Kalisto was actually the first Octagón Jr.
God damn, it's so confusing.
Wasn't the first Octagón Jr. like on the original Worlds Collide card all those years ago? Or is that just Octagón? Let me look.
It was a protege of Octagón. Like, that was when Kalisto joined AAA for the first time, and he was repackaged as Octagón Jr. rather than Samurai del Sol.
Was there like
I haven't seen Octagón Jr.
Like a hexagon?
He worked in TNA. He's actually partnered with Laredo Kid in TNA. So it's funny that they're not paired up on this show. I'm sorry. Okay, that was Octagón. That was not Octagón Jr. I've got him confused with it was El Hijo del Santos. So a junior in that way.
But what about Rhombus? Is Rhombus in this?
There's no Rhombus.
You got Pentagon that exists. So
yeah, there you go. All the shapes. Shapes collide.
I can't wait for Double Decahedron to debut.
What a tag team!
Well, you're asking if they had the 6-sided ring. Maybe there's some room for trapezoid or something to come in here. Yeah, clearly I don't know who these guys are. Aerostar, okay. Another name I haven't heard of. Maybe he's great.
I think the LWO will probably win this one. I think the other trios match is the one that's more likely to have the babyface. The babyfaces, the AAA guys win.
So that match
they're babyfaces to you.
That 6-man tag is Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, Angel Garza, and Berto Carrillo. I am not referring to them as just Angel and Berto. I never do that. I think it's stupid. They haven't been getting along lately, so there's far more grounds for them to lose this match than anything else. They are up against El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Every time I type that out, I feel like I made a mistake. Pagano and Psycho Clown. Again, I know quite literally nothing about these guys. I've not seen anything about them except for the graphics.
Wagner is good. And I know Psycho Clown has had some good matches. I'm just going to say right now that the Garzas are winning this one. Because Angel and Berto have a tag team title match in AAA next week.
Huh.
They're back on the same page. Fuck the weeks of them not being on the same page. They're back on the same page.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why I thought they would lose it, just because they've been a bit like on the wrong side of Santos. Yeah, so I think that, and I just think that the guys that they're facing are bigger stars than like Aerostar and Octagón and Mr. Iguana. Like El Hijo Dr. Wagner Jr. is a fairly prominent star in AAA, and he's like a former NOAH GHC heavyweight champion, should I say? So obviously Noah had a tentative relationship with WWE as well. So I think that Pagano and Psycho Clown are like higher up on the totem pole. So that's why I assume that if one side's going to win a trios match, more likely to be this one, because I think arguably the Latino World Order and Legado Fantasma are they're at very similar levels. One on Raw, one on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Latino World Order is almost treated slightly more respectfully than Legado is at the moment. Maybe that's just because it's just because if Rey Mysterio is going to make an appearance, it'll be in in the corner of Latino World Order.
Yeah, I mean, if Rey is involved, then they upgrade. If they don't have Rey in a match, then they lose. That's pretty much their Dragon Lee lost the Money in the Bank qualifier, and Del Toro and Wilde perpetually lose on main event. So they're about on par with Legado.
I'm just saying that if Rey does show up and he's just in the corner of Latino World Order, then they might do something of it's better for him to be there to see them win. Yeah,
celebrate at the end.
Yeah,
everybody raises their hands as a celebration of all 6 of us are great. Yeah.
Yeah. So then if you're going to have one of the AAA teams win one of these trios matches, then you're more likely to go with the one with Legado in. But one thing I am interested about in both these matches is, are they going to abide by Lucha 6-man tag team rules?
I assume so.
AKA no rules?
No, what it is you don't have to tag into the ring. Essentially, if you roll out of the ring, one of your partners can come in and just get involved and they essentially become the legal man afterwards. You don't have to tag in and out of the ring. You can, but you don't have to.
Maybe they do. If that's it's more on AAA's ground.
Why wouldn't they? I think.
Yeah, I mean, all these people would be familiar with that style of wrestling, so they should be able to do it. It's not that they've thrown someone who's completely alien to the lucha style of wrestling. So yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't do it. It could make things more exciting.
What do you guys think Dominic Mysterio is going to do?
I don't know why he's not
next. Liv, then Roxanne. Next.
his wife is very strong.
Yeah. I think Finn might beat him too, actually, on the Roxanne one. He's twice her age. It's great. It's nuts.
Finn is, yes. That's crazy when you think about it, because you still think of Finn as such a young guy. No, but I'm surprised Dominic doesn't have a major role on this card. I'm surprised they didn't build to him versus Penta mask for title or something.
I guess they figured they didn't need to do almost anything. Just
I wonder if it's as simple as, if Rey was healthy, he just would have fought his dad again.
Maybe, yeah. And that could be even the position that they have him in here too. It could just be Dom cuts a promo and somebody comes out and just, slaps him in the face or something like that.
You know what they should do? Dom cuts a promo, says he'll put his title on line against anybody right now. Chavo comes out. Do a quick Dom versus Chavo match.
I'd be so down for that. That'd be fun. As long as it's not Del Rio.
It gives Dom a good, strong win, and it gets him in the ring with a Guerrero, and that's probably not something we'll see on any other WWE program, so go for it.
By the way, speaking about Del Rio, I forget who it was that had said it, but somebody was complaining, and they were saying that WWE shouldn't have done the whole switch with Vikingo, and they should have kept it on Del Rio because nobody has the wide mainstream appeal as Alberto Del Rio does. Fuck you, dude. People do not want to see this guy. There's a reason why he's blacklisted.
Was this directly in a comment on one of our videos?
No, this was I don't know if it was Savinovich or
somebody with actual credibility said
it wasn't
nobody has them whites.
It wasn't Conan, but it was somebody like that.
I assume it would be Conan, because I assume he has to agree to that if he's going to be dropping the title of his own promotion.
The thing is, fuck Del Rio.
I can find it.
You know, like,
I think it was Savinovich. Now that I'm thinking more about it. Yeah, it was Savinovich. I found the thing. There was no build-up for Alberto Del Rio, who was still the reigning mega champion. Worse yet, the title change happened just before Worlds Collide. Fans expected Alberto Del Rio to be featured, not dethroned like this. I didn't want to speak out too harshly, but it made me angry. Not because Alberto Del Rio lost the title, but because of how WWE handled the business. The problem is that Triple H is repeating the same mistake Vince McMahon made with Roman Reigns, dragging things out for 8 years until they finally got it right. Now they've bought AAA and had a golden opportunity with Alberto. Instead, they rushed to crown Vikingo as champion, who, while talented, does not have the mainstream appeal of an ex-WWE champion like Del Rio. This was poor business. Instead of promoting a marquee Worlds Collide match, Alberto defending the title against Vikingo, they hot-shotted the belt before the show. Triple H, you say you're the boss, and you are, but don't let that power blind you. There's a way to handle stories. The ending tonight lacked meaning. It wasn't respectful to the culture of Lucha Libre. If WWE is going to claim it honors Lucha tradition, they should have known better than to script such an obvious and disrespectful outcome.
Now let me just say, in any other context, he's probably correct.
If it's not Del Rio.
Fuck Del Rio. Like,
right.
Yeah, dude, I'm happy you got hit with that steel chair.
Yeah, wait, Hulk Hogan did something good? Like,
yeah, it's like, no, that does not apply the same way. It's Del Rio. Fuck that guy. I do not want this guy on this show. And I'm going to be mad if he does show up.
Yeah, and it's as simple as the man, his legacy is tarnished. Nobody wants to see him on the show. It would have been a huge black eye if he was on the show.
And for the people that do leave comments, not on ours, but I've seen it elsewhere, being like, everyone deserves a second chance. He got it. He had like 9. He's not a good guy. He is a bad guy. He will continually do bad things. Even if one of those things is potentially not fully the full truth of the story or whatever, sure, maybe there's a chance that there's extra flack coming his way that isn't 100% true. Where there's smoke, there's fire. He's a fucking dickhead, clearly. So I have no problem putting him on blast. He's never doing this show. If he fucking reached out and was like, I'd love to do a thing on Smark on Moment, it would be something where I'd be like, why you dick? You know? Anyway, if he does show up, it's going to be the worst part of this whole thing. But Legado getting a tag title shot. Who are the tag champs? Do you know?
Give me 1 second. I can tell you because
1, 2.
Hold on, asshole.
3. 4.
Okay, New Generation Dynamite.
And I was just making a name.
Yeah.
No, that's the name of the team.
Nueva Generation Dinamita.
All right, I said it in English because I'm talking to Tony. All right.
Well, then you say the New Generation Dynamites. Like that's what they
the way
are.
that it came out sounded like you were just making something up. Like
New
you're like
Generation Dynamite.
It's
like
the
explosion.
Hollywood
The Boom Boom Boys
Express.
I would watch the Boom Boom Boys. You never know. Yeah, I have no idea who these guys are. They're probably going to lose it to the Garzas because they're going to be like, "Oh, isn't it amazing that WWE and AAA are working together?"
Yeah, the guys themselves are pretty like new, unknown guys. It's more about like the fact that they've taken on the names of the Dinamiters, which is like a more familiar phrase. You know how we've already mentioned like certain people like Octagón Jr. and El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. It's like there's a long tradition in Mexican wrestling of someone adopting either either realistically actually being the son of or daughter of a former wrestler, or just adopting that character and keeping the character alive moving forward.
Yeah, like how many La Parkas are there?
Yeah, I was just gonna say La Parkas, or you need to specify like the Mystico type of thing, and Miss Disease.
Caristico.
For that matter, how many tiger masks are there? You know?
Well, there's 4.
Yeah, we're on the fourth one now.
The fourth just kept it forever. Like,
yeah. And La Parka, that's a confusing one because it's like there's L.A. Park.
I believe that's the one that was in WCW. Is LA Park?
All I
And he
know is
lost
that
the name.
La
So he
Parca
just
in
went as LA
WCW was something that I was like, oh, I know La Parca, and then then it got all confusing and stuff, and then now I'm like, well, Penta's a much better La Parca. So I'm looking at these other champions. Flammer is the name of a champion. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pronounce any of these things wrong. Why not have Los Psychos Circus as a 6-man and put the trios titles on the line? Why not have, if Laredo Kid's got the cruiserweight title, put the cruiserweight title on the line, like Laredo Kid against Dragon Lee or something?
The thing that you're looking at the actual just people that hold the titles. I'm more looking at the number of defenses. So, like, their Latin American champion, El Macias, has defended the title twice in 205 days.
Goddamn.
Laredo Kid has defended his title once in 178 days. Got the trio champions are actually one of the more active defenders. They defended it 4 times in 188 days. Flamir 3 times in 661 days.
Wow.
She's defending the title nearly once, like close to once per year. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, Roman Reigns not looking so bad now, is he?
Well, I think it just goes to show, in a lot of these like big Lucha Libre shows that aren't actually built around championships. A lot of them, they're more built around more blood feud rivalries. Well, blood feud rivalries, realistically, and then you've got your little matches like the more luchary style battle royal multi-man matches instead that take place. But they're big. Realistically, the biggest match that you can do on a lucha show is not a title match; it's a mask match instead.
True.
It's a very different environment there. But yeah, I think that but it's just quite funny to see that like their champions just don't defend the title that often, realistically, and they just then they just traded their world championship to some other person, rightly so, but still.
Well, on that note, there's also the women's tag team match. Dalys and Chik Tormenta against Stephanie Vaquer and Lola Vice, which came about because the two popped up to just have some words with Stephanie Vaquer at Battleground. And then on NXT, it was announced, hey, Vaquer, you got the match with those two. You need to find a tag team partner. And literally immediately, Lola Vice just pops up as if she was standing right next to them, because she was, and just goes, well, I'll be a partner. And then it's like, all right, that was easy.
Hugs.
Yeah. So Vaquer is way too, building momentum to lose this, unless for some reason they absolutely need to have those two win, and then it's Lola Vice that takes the pin. But since Vaquer doesn't have an NXT Women's Championship anymore to have some kind of a match against, say, Dalys, for instance, there's no reason then at this point for me to say anything but Vaquer wins.
Yeah, I think she's winning. I think she may win twice in one night.
She could.
This is fucking nuts, right? Like, she's having this match on this show, and then she's going to have to travel over to do the Money in the Bank show.
Well, she's they're about 5 minutes away, but it's still like a wear and tear on the body thing.
Yeah, and it's more like, I guess they have to kind of structure things a little bit to make sure there's plenty of time for her to get there and get ready and make sure there's no like big issue in terms of like traffic or some sort of thing that goes wrong.
What they'll do is they'll put this match on early in the night. They'll put the men's Money in the Bank on first.
No, they can't.
And then she'll have enough time. Why can't they?
Chad Gable.
Because that's going to be the main event, realistically, of the Worlds Collide show. So
the main event will be
that's even more of the issue. Yeah,
they'll do the AAA Mega Championship, which is Vikingo against Chad Gable, not El Grande Americano. They'll do that at the last part for this, and then I'm assuming, they've got a little bit. I mean, it is 5 minutes, so with traffic, it's a half hour at most. And
yeah, this is LA we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's like realistically, they don't need, 2.5 hours before that. Depending on when this show ends and when Money in the Bank actually starts, Money in the Bank, I believe, is supposed to start at 7, if I remember correctly. And let me just double check that, because I don't know if they've announced when the countdown is, because the countdown could be another 2-hour thing, for all we know. Even though there's 4 matches on this show, they could just do another.
It's going to be. That's just what they do now.
It seems like it's just going forward. But and now I can't even find the thing, because why would you keep the thing up about how what's airing this week? Why would you keep that up on WWE's news page? And that makes perfect sense. Go to smark.com. We'll figure it out at some point. But I think that it starts at 7, and if that is the case, if this starts at 3, and it's not going to be a 4-hour show for these 5 matches, I would assume they're going to have some time with the countdown and all that. And they could always put Lyra Valkyria first.
And they're not saying, at least on the WWE website, what time it's starting. But I would assume, so this will be a 2-hour show. This will go from 3 to 5. The countdown will go from 5 to 7, and the show will go from 7 to whenever.
It should be fine. It's just an interesting side piece to think about. Like, there's 2 people on this first show that's taking place that then have to get over to the other place to get ready and get out there.
Especially when they very easily could have just not double booked them. Like, they could have had other people in there. Stephanie Vaquer in the ladder match, fantastic. But you did miss out on having, like, Jade Cargill. You did miss out on having, not that they would have put Ivy Nile on there, but, like, that could have been Liv Morgan. Yeah, there are people that were in these triple threat qualifiers that could have been in there instead of Vaquer and El Grande Americano. But I'm assuming Vaquer wins, and then I'm assuming Vikingo obviously retains over Chad Gable. There's no way that they're going to just put that belt on Chad Gable.
Oh yeah, those 2 matches are pretty much not in doubt. I'd say there's quite an interesting thing, just because you don't know much of anything about Chik, Tormenta, and Dalys, right? So if I was to say to you that Stephanie and Lola, the average age of that team is 29. Could you guess what the average age of Chik, Tormenta, and Dalys is?
I'm assuming 41.
Oh, you're a bit shy there. 45.
I was gonna say on the high end or low end.
Yeah. Chik Tormenta's 40. Dalys is 50 years old.
Huh.
So it's quite an interesting one. Psycho Clown, who's wrestling also on the show, is her son-in-law.
Well, good for her. She gets to be on this.
They're still getting work, so that's good for them. It's just quite an interesting thing that, like, they weren't wrestling like before they were born. Like they were arguably not wrestling before their parents were born. That's how far back it goes, especially in Lola Vice's case.
I mean, Dalys could have been wrestling before WrestleMania for one. WrestleMania 1.
I think that's unlikely. She would have been 9 years. She would have been 9 years
9.
old. So yeah, so I think it's unlikely.
I mean, people start early. That's the thing. There are plenty of times where it's like, this 13-year-old's been wrestling or something. You never know. Didn't Paige technically start wrestling in the womb?
In the womb.
I was just gonna say it too. Nikki Bella ruined that word for me, 100%. So we're all going Vikingo over Chad Gable.
Oh yeah.
Before Americano won last night, I thought they'd give it to Gable so he'd have something to lord over these luchadors, but now I don't know what the deal is there. So I'll say Vikingo.
We'll get to that when he gets the Money in the Bank, I think.
If he would have been in this match as El Grande Americano, then I would have been like, okay, he wins the mega title. But let's go ahead and switch over. Pay-Per-Viewpoint for Money in the Bank. And again, there's only 4 matches that are on this card. The least amount of matches, despite the fact that the Royal Rumble takes up longer time and they are they still have typically 5 matches on that card. So I don't know what they plan on filling the time with, or if they just plan on ending a little bit early. I hope it's that they end up ending early and not that they fill the time with just more Slim Jim commercials and everything like that, because that's exhausting.
Get ready for those Slim Jim tables, baby.
Yeah, it's not the worst.
It's pretty bad.
But it's another thing I don't like. And I feel more and more as time goes on like I identify with that horse from Ren and Stimpy than I ever thought that I would in my life.
No, sir.
Awful show. You can go back and watch that now, and it's like, the fuck did I like in this?
Awful creator too, by the way.
Oh yeah, terrible.
He's in there with Del Rio and the Fuck That Guy Club.
Yeah. I will say, Happy Happy Joy Joy still gets stuck in my head every once in a while, and Log does seem fun. And month or so ago, out of nowhere, I'm in the bathroom taking a whiz, and I'll just think, don't whiz on the electric fence. Those are the takeaways of that show. But anyway, Money in the Bank has nothing to do with that, so let's go into this. It's a Tuesday. It's going to be my excuse for everything. And then whatever it is. We do have the men's and the women's Money in the Bank ladder matches. We also have a tag team match with some of the World Championship major talent that's out there. And then we have a last chance match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Let's talk about that one first. So Becky Lynch is up against Lyra Valkyria. They had their match at the last pay-per-view. We were kind of going into it being like, well, I guess Becky wins. She didn't. So they're just dragging it out. In typical fashion nowadays, this is one of the rules of thumb in WWE. If you are going to win a title, apparently you do not win it the first time around, except for some extreme circumstances. You win it the second time around because you need to lose and then somehow get a title match, typically for absolutely no reason whatsoever other than I want another match, and the person goes, okay. I fucking hate that. And in this scenario, Becky says, hey, I got an idea. How about if that would have been so much better if it was Michael Hayes. Got an idea. Or Bob Holly for that matter.
Well, she's doing the Bob Holly. I got an idea. Give me the belt and then I'm going to beat everybody.
I'm going to beat everyone. If Becky Lynch loses, she can no longer challenge for the title as long as Valkyria, mixing people up, Valkyria is champion. If Valkyria loses, she has to then raise Becky Lynch's hand and acknowledge that she's the better woman of the two. Valkyria has won against Becky Lynch before, so she's had plenty of that like one-upsmanship. Becky not winning this would very, very much surprise me. I've already pre-written up that she won the title. And you'll see that pop up on the Ring Report once it happens. But Valkyria has had a long enough championship run. It's time for her to lose it. Becky can start feuding with some other people. Becky can lose that to, who knows, Roxanne Perez. Maybe it's like the post-draft trade thing. Maybe she loses it to Stephanie Vaquer. Whatever they end up deciding to do, I don't know. It's going to probably be SummerSlam, I would assume, when Becky drops that belt. But Valkyria loses it here. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't think Becky's losing by SummerSlam, but I will say I 100% thought Valkyria was winning at Backlash because I knew we'd be getting here. And actually, I thought it would be Saturday Night's main event, but here we are, and Becky will win. Help elevate the women's IC title. I think the women's division, period, needs elevation. And this will be a good place to start it.
Yeah, I think that's just because of the manner of the stipulation. I think it's just very unlikely that Becky would lose the title match here, and the opportunity to win it, as they will follow the pattern of you lose your first attempt, then you win it the second time. And yeah, I think that will pretty much be the case. You have like Lyra have to lose a bit of face by having to raise her hand afterwards. Becky can take her out or lord it over her after that point. Lyra has to then dig inside herself to come back and either win the title. I think the long term thing would be like that Lyra just not just moves on, but like uses this to fuel her going forward, as opposed to just finds herself in a constant loop of always feuding for the Intercontinental Championship. Because just like we've seen with the men's version of the title, that's saying that you can get yourself so wrapped up in that no one really takes you seriously going for the World Championship in future.
Mm-hmm.
Or they feel like, or you become so attached to that title, you become so synonymous with that title that you just you just can't really escape it.
Yeah, Miz.
And Bayley is going to return, probably even just Monday night, and it'll be
that's your SummerSlam match.
Bayley, Becky's like, you had to raise my hand or whatever. Then Bayley comes out and it's like, well, fuck you. I'm mad at you for WrestleMania, so now I'm going to go after you. So that's like the spin-off to not focus on Lyra as much. And then Lyra, I don't know, either hangs around for a while in random matches, or she starts a new tag team with somebody, or, whatever it might be. I don't know, but I don't think she's winning that belt back. Like right now. I mean, down the line, who knows? Maybe she wins it. But I don't think she's just like going to trade it back and forth with Becky. I don't even think that they're necessarily going to do the whole raising the hand thing. They have had plenty of instances in the past where they've had a stipulation like this, and then they've just not followed through with it. I forget exactly who it was, but there was like a kiss my ass match where it was like, I think Ziggler and Sheamus. And it was something like, say like Sheamus was the heel. And
yeah, he was.
Ziggler won the match, and then Sheamus like bro kicked him and then made him kiss his ass. And then it was like, it's okay though. And it's like, that's the complete fucking opposite. Vince, what the hell, because I wanted to see that, whatever. So it might not even be like Becky might cheat to win here, and then Lyra might like refuse to raise her hand, and then Becky, I don't know, clocks her, Becky just runs out and is like, we're going to save the hand raising thing for Raw or something, like something like that.
That's the one I'm going with. We're going to save the hand raising thing for Raw. Come on out, Lyra. And then you hear Bayley's music.
Yeah,
and
something
Bayley
like
runs
that.
out.
Either way, Becky's holding that championship belt when she's doing that.
100%.
So that might be the first match, just to give some more time to the other people that are, Stephanie Vaquer and El Grande Americano or something. But certainly not the first match wouldn't be the other, like the tag team match, for instance. They're not going to start off with this, but let's go ahead and talk about it anyway. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso against Logan Paul and John Cena. This is a follow-up, of course. Cody Rhodes and John Cena from WrestleMania. Jey Uso and Logan Paul just had their Saturday night's main event match. So this is petering out the end of that. No Travis Scott and no Bad Bunny, as had been rumored. Maybe Travis Scott does pop up. I don't expect Bad Bunny to. But maybe Bad Bunny pops up at Worlds Collide. And maybe Bad Bunny's right there in the arena. And, it's a possibility.
It's the match you need to do.
Maybe that's what they do. Hey, maybe Bad Bunny walks out with the Intercontinental title. I don't know. But I think...
you advertise that, by the way. Bad Bunny's a fucking massive global star.
Well, they are on YouTube. So maybe...
Even more of the reason to not do Bad Bunny.
Maybe Bad Bunny pops up pretty early on in there, like the second thing, and then it's like a massive influx to YouTube. Could be that. I don't know. Which, by the way, remind everybody, it is on YouTube. It's on WWE in Spanish and in English, not Peacock. This, of course, Money in the Bank will be on Peacock and Netflix. Now, Logan Paul lost that match at Saturday night's main event. John Cena, I do not imagine, is going to take a pinfall here whatsoever. And there's the lingering issue of Gunther. There's a good chance that Gunther comes in here and he costs Jey Uso, and Uso takes the pin from John Cena. Or that Cody pins Logan Paul, and that's your means to be like, okay, Cody deserves some kind of a rematch against John Cena, even though they would just do that anyway. Like, he doesn't have to win a match. They could just announce it. Those are the only two outcomes I think can happen. I do not think Jey pins Logan Paul, and I don't think anybody pins John Cena, and I definitely don't think that Cody Rhodes takes a pin.
I think Jey pinning Logan Paul, if you want to have a happy ending, is kind of a fun way to go because it frees Cody and Cena to be doing something with one another. Yeah, I thought we would talk about the ladder match before this because
Do you think that there's going to be a cash-in?
whoever wins that briefcase has to be ringside for this match. Both champions are there. There's no reason for Mr. Money in the Bank to not be ringside for this match. I'm not saying there'll be a cash-in. I'm saying there's no reason for the person not to be there when it's likely that both champions will be harmed in this match.
That's why I'd probably presume that they do the men's Money in the Bank ladder match after this match.
See, but I think that's a missed opportunity. But it's not my company.
I do think that the men's Money in the Bank ladder match goes on last.
Yeah.
There's no way John Cena did that.
I think it's the order that we're going through. This is how I kind of think it might be. Although they could put the women's...
Well, no, they're not doing ladder match followed by ladder match.
They could do the women's ladder match first, and then do Lyra, Becky, and then Cody, Jay, Cena. But those three are going to bounce around. I think that the Money in the Bank for the men's last.
I think there's a good chance to do Cody and Jay, and Cody Jay versus Cena and Paul first. That's the opening match. I mean, you say they wouldn't put Cena on after. It's like his match with R-Truth was in the middle of Saturday Night's main event.
Yeah,
that was specifically because he was closing the show.
He might still close the show here.
Yeah,
might stare down whoever wins the Money in the Bank match. You never know.
Or
the fact that he's there. He's already sold the ticket. They don't need to put him on the main event.
I'll come back to this again in a moment about what they could do with Money in the Bank, but I got another theory that could happen. If they want this tag team match to go on last, that'll end up being... It's not an Austin theory. I'd be surprised if he shows up here. If they do want that to go on last, I think that there's a very lame but very predictable way that they could go about it. But I'm going to say that Cena and Paul win, and it's Jay that takes the pin, and it's a byproduct of Gunther. That way they could be like, look at that. Gunther proved again that he's too distracted, and on Monday night, remember, Gunther is going to go up against Jey Uso. And then whatever happens on Monday, if it's Goldberg or something, Jey retains there.
I'm going to say Cena and Logan Paul win. I will say, you brought up Travis Scott. That would have been fun because there would have been the whole hey dude, when you first showed up here, you were yeeting with Jey Uso, and then suddenly you're a heel with The Rock and John Cena. What are you doing? They could have played off of that a little bit, but I guess they decided to change plans.
I mean, he might be involved. Like, his entrance music might go off halfway through the match, and then he takes 10 minutes to walk to the ring to be involved in the finish.
Hey, somebody has to do it for The Undertaker, okay?
Randy's like, I'll do it. I'll be the guy that takes forever.
Yeah. See, there's definitely that route that you can definitely take with this match of what you described of having Jey Uso lose because of the of a distraction. Gunther. I think this is a perfect opportunity just to have Cody beat John Cena.
Could be. That way he gets a pin and it's like,
SummerSlam, yeah.
I beat you. I proved that I can beat you. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Because realistically, all Cena's done outside of winning, obviously, matches where he's got title defenses and winning the title from Cody in the first place is just get his pants pulled down pretty much every week on TV. Because all he did, all his feud with Randy Orton was him just eating RKOs constantly, and so I don't think it would be surprising to just see Cody pin him and use that as the momentum, say, SummerSlam rematch.
Now, the next pay-per-view is Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay. Well, Night of Champions then. Whatever.
Cena is on the poster for that. So we can assume that Cena's going to have some sort of match there, although the name Night of Champions doesn't mean anything anymore. It used to be every championship was on the line. That was why it was called Night of Champions. Then eventually it just became, it's a show that may feature at least one championship. And last Night of Champions was when they were crowning a new champion. They haven't announced anything yet. but they also haven't not announced anything yet. It's not like they've said like, here's the card and it doesn't have anything like that. So unless they plan on introducing a new championship, it's just probably, we've got that name, we have a logo already, just call it Night of Champions or something. But Cody against Cena could happen at Night of Champions, or that could be when they do Cena against somebody else. I don't know who, because now they're already doing the Cody thing. That's a little bit weird. They're already doing a tag team non-title match here, so it's not like that would make any sense for Night of Champions to be Cena in a tag match.
Unless that's when you put the celebrities in.
Maybe that's the whole plan. Is they're going to get John Cena and Travis Scott at Night of Champions, and Logan Paul's not involved, and then it's Cody and somebody like a Bad Bunny or somebody, I don't know. But I'm going to go Cena and Paul. And
I'm gonna go Cody and Jay just to mix it up a bit.
I'm gonna go Cena and Paul, and I'm gonna further stick to my guns of this being the headliner and Uso being too distracted by the amount of people that are ringside.
How many people do you think are going to be ringside?
A fair number.
3? 11?
At least 5.
Pretty bad attendance.
At 5.
So then let's talk about the actual Money in the Bank ladder matches themselves, the whole reason that this is happening and that we should care about any of the stuff that's happening. Start off with the women's one, since we do kind of assume that maybe the men's might end up going on later on, and that's going to factor in with some other stuff. But the setup for that, we've got in, after a bunch of different triple threat qualifiers and everything, we've got Alexa Bliss and Julia and Naomi over on SmackDown. And then the Raw participants are Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, and Stephanie Vaquer. So when you look at that lineup, 3 of them were not official members of the roster 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very good thing in some ways, and it's also very damning in other ways, because each of these triple threat qualifiers, it's interesting, by the way, that the triple threat qualifiers are Triple H's like go-to. He likes to do those now, and I guess we're going to see that going forward. But they had people in there that very easily could have been in this match, as I had said before. Kairi Sane 100% could have been in this, and it was like, she's making her return. Cool. Zoe Stark, until she got injured, she wouldn't have been everybody's pick, but she would have been maybe one of those dark horses that you see plenty of people go, now's the time she's going to win, or something like that. Zelina Vega's Women's United States Champion. Becky Lynch is the biggest name that they have, essentially. Natty perpetually... Yeah, Charlotte Flair. Natty you can throw in anywhere, and even though she's not going to be somebody's pick to win, it was like, all right, well, it's Natty, so whatever. Michin, same thing. Chelsea Green, I thought was even going to potentially win this, and she's not in it. Jade Cargill, not in it. Nia Jax, not in it. So that's kind of crazy. And they went with Julia, Vaquer, and Perez, which is a good sign for them, because it means that they actually really want to push them and they actually want to do something with them. But I'm looking at this lineup and I'm going, Bliss isn't going to win. And Naomi's not going to win. I don't think that Perez is going to win. And I don't think that Julia is going to win. Partially because Perez has got this whole thing going on with the Judgment Day and this like feud that's brewing with like Liv Morgan and all. I don't think her carrying the briefcase necessarily like fits into that. Of course, I thought that Carlita would still be around too, so you never really know. Naomi, I think that she could be fun in the sense of she's got this new I'm unhinged and I'm just going to play that kind of character instead. And maybe that's like her being like, all right, now I want to threaten to win the title. But I just don't see that being where Tiffany Stratton goes. Bliss, I write off completely. Not because of
that's always a mistake, sir.
You never really know. But when it's the typical rule of thumb of you never bet against Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte didn't get into this, and she's got something going on with Bliss. And Bliss has also the potential of doing something with Nikki Cross. There's too many other avenues for her. I don't think Money in the Bank is where it goes. And then Julia, they flat out had her beat the Women's United States champion, Zelina Vega. And she's then been like, by the way, after Money in the Bank, I'm coming for that title. So Julia beats Zelina Vega down the line. That's her big thing. Roxanne's got her Judgment Day thing. It's down to Stephanie Vaquer, everybody's like favorite right now, or Mommy in the Bank, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'll break that down a little bit more, even more when you guys say your thoughts, because I've been...
Well, I was going to say, that's quite funny, because, like, I think that, again, as someone who just isn't watching week to week, I'm probably, like, dead wrong in this situation, but I feel like Stephanie Vaquer and Rhea Ripley are the two least likely people to win.
Interesting.
Because it just feels like Rhea doesn't need it. She'd be the one that, like, gets really close to winning it and gets taken down by the eventual winner or gets distracted or something of that ilk. And Stephanie Vaquer is on the ascent right now, and I feel like they would more likely want to do a more natural ascent with her, especially the fact that, and the biggest red flag of all of them not winning is that they're both baby faces.
There are two babyface champions.
Yeah, and baby faces holding Money in the Bank just doesn't work usually, unless you're planning on turning them heel through the cash-in, which is not out of the realm of possibility. But I just think Stephanie Vaquer's established enough to do that. Rhea Ripley definitely is established enough to do that, but you want to turn Rhea Ripley heel? Probably not. So I feel like, for me, the front runners are probably Alexa, Roxanne, and Naomi. Alexa because, like, she's going to be doing... Yeah, she is absolutely doing stuff with Charlotte Flair and potentially with the Y6 when they decide to eventually bring that together. It doesn't say that she doesn't have to hold the briefcase while that takes place. But the whole feud round with Charlotte Flair or story or however they're progressing with that could have the briefcase become circulated within it. Naomi, it's pretty obvious about how, like, the way that she's now being presented as a more main event level threat. All you need to do is just wait for either Jade or Bianca to win the title, and Naomi immediately cashes in on them. It definitely wouldn't be Tiffany Stratton she cashed in on, but it would just be a champion down the line. And Roxanne, it's just a case of, well, she can just sit on that for a little while. How does that affect her dynamic with Liv and Raquel as part of this new version of Judgment Day? Is that a catalyst for her and Finn and JD to split away from Judgment Day or anything of that ilk? So could you do like a big feud surrounding Liv and Roxanne over the briefcase, or just pure jealousy between the two of them? So I think that those three have definite roots with the briefcase, more so than I think that... I don't think, as we've heard recently, or at least it's been rumoured, how Triple H isn't a big fan of the Money in the Bank concept. I don't think he wants to utilise it to push Stephanie Vaquer, because I think he'd rather do it naturally.
He'd rather put her in a normal match, have her lose, and then have her get another rematch and win it a second time.
Yeah. That is the way that all championships should be won.
Now, in fairness, that is a very old school way of doing things, where, you know, like, Sting fights Flair for, 500 times, and then he'll get him on the 501st.
And Rhea winning the title just isn't what the briefcase is about.
So, first of all, I want to say this is a fantastic lineup.
Yeah.
There's no answer here where I go, oh, well, this isn't going to be good, or this does nothing for anybody. I think Vaquer's least likely to win to me, because she literally just got there. She was NXT Women's Champion a week ago.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 week since she lost the title tonight. And it is a little hard to imagine that they push her like that. But then again, look at how they've pushed her this year. In the past 5.5 months, she's won the North American title, won the women's title, been a double champion, vacated the one title, beat everybody that she could possibly beat. and then lost it at a fluke, and within 3 days got drafted to the main roster, and then won Money in the Bank qualifier. Like they like her, but they also have an
like
excuse to have her not win by being like, she already wrestled earlier in the day. And it's ladder match. She doesn't have to take a pin. So
Bliss, you never count out Bliss. And even if she won, you can't be like, oh, I'm so mad. I see this thing. I saw this thing on Twitter, which I thought was hysterical, where some dork was like, Chelsea should have won. I'm tired of old woman Bliss. And Chelsea just goes, ... I'm older than her. Like, because I see this thing where people are like, oh, Bliss is washed and old. And it's like, yeah, you think that just because she's been on TV for a while. If she wins here, she makes history. First ever 2-time women's Money in the Bank winner. And also, it's not like she's been champion recently. It's not the craziest thing in the world to go put it on Bliss. I think that's a great choice.
How old is she? She's probably like 31.
Probably, I think.
She's been like the majority of her time in WWE. She was like in her 20s. So she's.
Yeah, I will say that there is a thing called TV age.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. You see it. She's 33. You see it all the time with
33,
like Rollins and Priest and stuff like that. But moving on to, you've got Julia, who would make total sense if she won, because she's also a major star. We know Triple H loves his Joshi wrestlers in those positions, and she would be a great holder of the briefcase. I'm gonna guess she doesn't, just because she already has that thing with Vega.
By the way, this just blew my mind. Guess how old Rhea Ripley is right now?
Was she like 26, 27?
28.
Yeah.
Like, she's only 28. Dude,
people don't realize like Tony Storm is still under 30. And things
God
like that,
damn.
so
Why am I the only person in the world that's aging?
But like, I look at a Rhea Ripley and I go, that's how you do it, because she's a young star, she's a huge star, and before the field shaped the way it did, I said, oh, they're not going to be able to resist Mommy in the Bank merchandise, and it's going to be a Mommy in the Bank briefcase. I still think it's a very, very strong possibility.
Same here. That's the main reason why I have her as high up as I do, is I'm like, that Mommy in the Bank thing.
That merchandise is enough of a reason, because we have to think about it like this now. They sell these fucking custom briefcases.
Mm-hmm.
They got the Cash App logo on the briefcase because they're going to immediately trade it in for a custom case. And I think Mommy in the Bank is a good shot for that. And then there's Roxanne, who I love the idea of. First of all, she's super young. It would be a great chance to actually push someone young with the Money in the Bank briefcase, as I feel was the original intent of the case. I love the idea of her using the case as a tray for chicken nugs for Dom. I think that's hysterical. I think it's like, hey guys, Judgment Day, you want me around because I have this thing now, and I can always help bring more gold to the group. Like, the story's there for her to win. But I'm going with Naomi because I think it's the perfect chance to give her a spotlight. She's been presented very strongly over the past 6 months. It's a matter of time before Bianca beats somebody, and out comes Naomi with the briefcase. Like, they're setting up all these stories really well. I think, I don't know if it's fake or not, but somebody leaked a briefcase with caution tape around it. So they might already have plans in motion for that. And overall, I think if Triple H really doesn't like the briefcase, what a great way to be like, aren't you happy? I put it on a vet. Isn't this great? Don't you love this? Aren't we making so much of this, without having to have all these players that they're going to do a lot with regardless, tied up by the briefcase. Naomi's doing great this year, but we all know how this goes. It wouldn't be shocking if, 3 months from now, she's maybe only getting on main event. So I think Naomi wins the briefcase, gets a good run as a heel, like here's your flowers kind of run, and people will get excited because Naomi is actually going to win something.
Something else to think about. Naomi. Maybe she does cash in on Tiffany Stratton. And maybe she's the transitional champion to then put the belt back on Belair.
Could be Belair.
Or Jade, for that matter.
Jade has been calling out Tiffany straight up. She could just, usurp her Jade's moment. I think storyline-wise, I go with Naomi. If I'm going sheer merchandise, it's Money in the Bank. But I think, gun to my head, I'm going Naomi.
I'm going to be a little dystopian, and I'm going to say they give it to Rhea Ripley, and they plan on just basically...
having her lose?
No, basically just ruling it as, like, pointless. And if Triple H doesn't like this, that it'll be, like, Rhea Ripley wins, she comes out, she's like, hey, I'm Money in the Bank, go ahead and buy my new custom briefcase. By the way, I want to already challenge Io Sky, and I want to have that match at, I don't think it would be Night of Champions, because it's a little too soon. They wouldn't be able to roll out the merchandise quickly enough. So what's the next event after Night of Champions?
SummerSlam.
Isn't there something else before that? Saturday night's main event and Evolution. So I think
an Evolution to this.
I think it becomes July is going to be Evolution, and I can't think of a better time for you and I to battle it out than to have that there. So I'm cashing in my Money in the Bank against you, Io Sky, and I'm challenging you at Evolution. And then you've got a month of the briefcase, whatever the custom thing is, and then they try to sell that merchandise. She carries it around, and then it's just like, okay, well, no, we don't have to worry about it. And then Rhea wins the title back, maybe. I don't know. We'll talk about that when it comes to Evolution. But I'm going to go Rhea Ripley wins this.
I might change my opinion by the time we get to predictions. But right now, I'm going Naomi.
I'll go a little rogue then and say that Roxanne Perez wins it.
Yeah, but see, I love that. I love that we all have different options, because over the men's match, Tony.
Men's match, not quite the same. Now, that is between Andrade. Yeah, nobody's picking Andrade. LA Knight, as much as you got to say, I'm going to say, nah, on that one. He's not winning it. Yeah, he would be a great option in a couple other years. Right now, it's not happening. Solo Sikoa, who out of nowhere, they're just like, hey, by the way, I guess we should start winning again. And you're going to be in this match instead of Jacob Fatu or JC Mateo.
And also they're like, hey, by the way, enough time has passed. Go ahead and have a personality. You're allowed to be funny. Like,
now you're going to be the funny member of this whole thing. I don't know what's funnier. What's funnier, Solo Sikoa himself, or the fact that they still keep trying to pay us off Jeff Cobb as being part of the bloodline?
Yeah, I love that because it's like, hey, shut up. You know the deal.
I mean, they did have Fatu be like, he's not family.
He's like, he's not our blood. What are you doing? Like,
and Mateo's just sort of like, It's the pitch meeting. Hey, shut up. So no for Andrade, no for Solo, no for LA Knight. As much as El Grande Americano could steal the show this whole weekend, win the Mega Championship, and then win this or something like that, I think that Vikingo is coming out during this, and he's going to knock El Grande Americano off. And then it's like, okay, well, in the future, we could do El Grande Americano against Vikingo. And, kind of play into that. There's Penta. Maybe Penta's just the reason why Americano doesn't win. Maybe we get that match going on or something like that. But as cool as Penta is, I don't think they're giving him the Money in the Bank. And then there's the winner of this match, Seth Rollins. And I'll go ahead and say right now, the main event, the tag team match thing, if that ends up being the main event, there is a very good chance we get the bland ending of Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, John Cena, Logan Paul. The end of the match happens or whatever, and Seth comes out there and just like cackles at the idea of like, now I get to pick when I do this because I have all the control. Ha 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 ha. And it fades away, and he doesn't do anything.
But that's the reason why I think that will be the main event, because I do think Seth is winning. But I also, since this is a discussion, want to point out, maybe it's getting to the point where it's so heavily leaning towards Seth that they just give it to Penta. They like Penta. He could have a cool custom briefcase. I would almost like if Seth wins, as long as the briefcase is just a slick black briefcase, no crazy logos on it or anything. But again, I'm thinking that merchandise, and I go, Penta is probably that guy, which I hate, and I think it's stupid that you have to factor that in. But that is a real way that they're starting to book around things. You know?
It is. That's why I kind of think that the Money in the Bank thing is going to factor more in than the men's.
I don't think LA Knight will win here. I think that moment passed, was it 2 years ago? Because it was when Priest won, right? I think that moment passed. Solo would be a cool choice just because I want to see him get back up the ranks after just falling flat. So it'd be cool to see if he could rise up. And also, by the way, if they do Solo, they could have him just cash it on Jacob. And again, it's that whole Triple H doesn't like this for the world titles. It's a fuck you. But at the end of the day, I think it's too logical to give it to Seth. You then get that whole faction and that whole storyline, and more importantly, probably Paul Heyman gets to float between shows at any given time, can pop up and just go, ladies and gentlemen, I represent the future of WWE and the future champion, Seth Rollins, because he has this.
Yep.
It makes too much sense to not just be Seth Rollins. So I think, I like Seth a lot, but unfortunately, I think we're not crowning a new winner this year. We're getting a 2-time winner in Seth Rollins. There's also that layout of like, haha, CM Punk is no longer the only 2-time ladder match winner. I have taken that from him. Haha.
Also, glad you brought up Punk for that. This also explains how they can get around him cashing in. Anytime that he gets ready to start cashing in, CM Punk comes out and goes, I'm going to ruin that for you too. And then that's how they dawdle the whole, you think you're going to cash in? Well, I'll be on the lookout. And when they, on Monday night, have Jey Uso is beaten down by Gunther, and then maybe, I'm assuming that Goldberg comes out, and it's Goldberg versus Gunther at Saturday night's main event. Goldberg takes out Gunther or whatever, and Jay is sitting there in the ring still being like, oh man, that's smarts from whatever Gunther did to him. And then you hear Seth's theme and everybody goes, oh shit, we're going to get cash in immediately. And then Punk comes out and it's like, nah, fuck you. Okay, so he's the one that's going to save that, whatever. And Sami Zayn is going to come out and screw him over too and all that. I was
going to say, you also have, on the weeks that Punk isn't there, you also have Sami Zayn there just to be like, never you.
Yep.
And eventually you get the big Royal Rumble, not the Royal Rumble, big pay-per-view payoff of like Roman Reigns will come back and stop him as well.
I could see that happening too. And then eventually Seth wins the title and beats Jay and just successfully cashes in. And
maybe
he fails.
Whenever Cody beats Cena in his final match, maybe you just flip it right there to Seth. And then it's Seth and Roman for the big one at Mania. They told you flat out, Seth Rollins is your main event of WrestleMania 42. It's just a matter of how you get there.
Yeah. Is it Cody? Is it Roman? Is it Punk? Is it Breaker? But I'm 100% going with Rollins here.
Yeah, me too.
Same for you, Cal?
I'm not as convinced that Rollins is going to win the title. And maybe this is just me reading way too much into the stories that's come out about Triple H's disdain for the concept. But I could definitely see, because again, I think it's a bit too predictable. Maybe predictable is totally fine, and they decide to just go with that route because it makes the most sense, and it does make the most sense. Even though Seth is a guy that really doesn't need to have the Money in the Bank briefcase, but just the way that his character is being portrayed at the moment, it just makes sense to do. But I could definitely see a possibility, and maybe this is just a troll in me coming out, that El Grande Americano wins the briefcase, and he uses it to cash in on the AAA champion.
I did think about that.
I think that would be the total realization that report about Triple H and Money in the Bank is true, because he just wants to get rid of it and he uses it for a title that is not even of his own promotion.
Wait, who? That report came from WrestleVotes, right?
Yeah, that he's not a Well, it's, yeah. I think
If that ends up happening, I think I'm now going to believe that report came out specifically because somebody got wind of, and Chad Gable was going to cash in on the AAA champion.
Yeah. What was the report? I don't remember seeing anything.
Well, it's just a report of like WrestleVotes. This is the report of the Triple H.
That like Triple H hates Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Oh, not that it's like, okay, there's rumors that he's winning the mega title or something.
Oh no, that's just my pure speculation.
That's just the fun speculation of like, well, that would prove that you hate, that briefcase if you're just going to do that with it.
Yeah, and then the other one that's like just on the outside for me is just LA Knight, because I feel like he's the sort of guy who you definitely could turn with a briefcase run, or just have him cash in on someone towards the end, like if you like have a Gunter or Cena or someone like that, and you just decide, oh, we're just going to switch up the championship now, then I think you can put LA Knight into that role, considering just his level of popularity. Or just wait until you decided to crown Cody as the new champion again, or whoever you're going to make the next champion, and have LA Knight in, because he can work as equally well babyface and heel, so I don't think that would be an issue either way. So those are the three I'm going between. Probably when push comes to shove, I probably will still go Seth, because it just makes the most logical sense, and Triple H, although I'm not a huge fan of his booking in general, because I just find it quite stale, but at the end of the day, for more often than not, it's logical. So, and the logic says to go with Seth, but I think that it's a little bit less predictable than some are suggesting.
I'm remembering now, I'm having a flashback to last year. Wasn't that briefcase gone in like 45 minutes when McIntyre won it? Maybe where there's smoke, there's fire. Maybe there is something to that. But I think the possibilities of Seth and what you can do with that for the next, for the rest of the year are too strong to just throw it away on an LA Knight. I will say, if LA Knight wins, I'm going, okay, you're cashing in on the world champion. It might not be Jay, but it won't be the main title.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he would be cashing in on John Cena.
I feel quite confident in thinking that, I feel like the men's briefcase is not going to last too long. That it'll be cashed in pretty quickly.
No matter what one of them is, for sure.
Because they're not going to go with two belts going.
Have they ever gone? Have they ever gone for like both of these individuals are going to hold it for a long time? I don't think both.
The only one that would have potentially been in the play for that would have been the year that Carmella won, because she's the only one that's held. Like, most women tend to get rid of it immediately. The average.
Tiffany's one of the longest one that's held it. So
let's go to smarkoutmoment.com with my statistics page, because I know I calculated before what the average time
and
was.
the year
for
that
the
Mello
women.
won, the year that Mello won, they had
Strowman.
they had they had Breaker.
Oh, that was Bliss and Strowman, yeah.
They had Breaker. They had Baron Corbin cash in and lose.
Oh yeah, that was Oh yeah, because it was
right
the
away.
SmackDown. It was the SmackDown only one, wasn't it?
So for context, out of 8 people that have held the Money in the Bank for the women, the average time is 59 days.
Yeah,
and
they
that's
don't
only because of Tiffany Stratton, basically.
Yeah,
and
Tiffany's definitely
and
the
Carmella.
longest.
Yeah, Tiffany, Carmella, and Io are probably the longest ones to have held it.
Yeah, but
And
most
Io
of them
not
are
even that long.
Io
there
went
was
from
like
Money in the Bank to SummerSlam, so it was still only like a month or two.
A month or two, yeah.
Bailey was an hour and 25 minutes. Liv was 2 hours. Bliss was 2 hours and 50 minutes. Nikki was a day. Asuka was a day. Io was 35 days. Carmella's first one was 2 days before they switched it around. So it's only really Tiffany and Carmella. And those two, Tiffany was 153 and Carmella was 287. But
And on
for Io being the third and it's 35 days, and then underneath that is 1 day, that's, that's why I think that Rhea Ripley's going to win and then just be like, hey, Evolution, we're going to start building towards Evolution. And then realistically, when it comes to Evolution's card, we know that there's the Saturday night's main event that's happening right before that, and there's the Great American Bash as well. Like, they're going to put all the women on Evolution. They're going to put men's matches on Saturday night's main event. Maybe another women's match if they really decide to. I don't know. And then the Great American Bash is NXT, so it doesn't really matter. But Night of Champions is between that. That's only June 28th. And they've been having more women's matches on there, but who's to say that the women's match for Night of Champions isn't like Zelina against Julia or something, Rollins with this briefcase, though, it seems like that's the one story that Triple H would be like, okay, I'm okay with playing around with that for the next little bit, but I don't think we're getting a cash in on this. I don't think we're going to get a cash in for months outside of the Rhea Ripley thing.
I'm assuming it's Rollins, and even more so now that we've had this conversation and you see how weak the other options are. I think it's that ending that you were talking about where he cackles. That's happening. Like, he's going to be ringside. Jay's going to be distracted because, he's there, Breaker's there, all these people are there. Like, it's going to be too much. That leads into Cena getting the win. And even, Cena side-eyeing Rollins because you don't know who he's going for. I think that makes the most sense.
You get the big CM Punk saves the cash in on Monday. Well,
right.
We will see, of course, how this all plays out. And I will have my normal coverage up on all the 3 different platforms. I have the Ring Report, EWN, and Smark Out Moment for both of these events. Worlds Collide, if it does end with enough time in between that and Money in the Bank, I might hop on and do a quick post show. I don't think it's going to be worth it, though. I don't think anybody's really going to tune in. So I'll probably just talk about Worlds Collide to go along with Money in the Bank as a combo thing. So set up your email alerts for the live post show that'll at the very least be coming at the end of Money in the Bank. And I'll update the statistics page in the meantime as well. Talk about any kind of weird things that happen at Money in the Bank along those lines, all that good stuff. We do have the Darkcast coming up in the future. We haven't recorded it yet, so stay tuned for that. Make sure that you join the Darkcast tier over there on the Patreon or the YouTube channel membership to get ahead of that game with that. Make sure you check out Fanboys Anonymous as well for anything that's happening on that front. I have been teasing, or not teasing, I've been kind of tentatively planning an idea that I had said before about expanding on that Marvel and DC thing that I had done before with Survivor Series and maybe building a little sort of E-Fed thing out of it. And, maybe prior to Night of Champions, crowning a champion for the men's division for everything on Marvel and DC. And then prior to Evolution, doing a champion for like the mid card and the tag teams and the women's championship and everything for Marvel and DC there too. Kind of treating it like Marvel and DC are the Raw and SmackDown brands. And then continuing on and doing like, a Royal Rumble and who's the champion at WrestleMania of Marvel and DC, and what do we do with like a crossover thing with a draft eventually, and whatever. If you're interested in that concept, let me know. I probably would put that over on Fanboys as opposed to on Smark Out Moment, but it is a pro wrestling thing, so I don't know. Again, let me know. Make sure that you are following all the other things that we are talking about and the things that you can find on the link tree at amangotree.com. Go ahead and click around there on any of those accounts that you're interested in. And then if you're following what I've got going on, you should obviously also be following Robin Callum too.
Yeah, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. You can check out my work on Fightful and anything else I do over here under a mango tree. But also check out what Callum has going on.
Yeah, sorry, I fronted there for a second because Tony's glitched and I only heard my name, so I thought.
Yeah, I did as well, but I assumed he said the same thing he always says.
Yeah, I assumed so. I assumed so as well. I decided, maybe he's just switching up a little bit. Maybe he's got a bit going on. Don't know. But you can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at West14. Check out the power rankings every single Saturday at smarkomoment.com, where I rank the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances. And then while you're there, you can check out the Fantasy League, which of course will be influenced by the predictions we make for this show. But you can see how all our teams are doing. Money in the Bank could definitely swing its one person's way, depending on who wins the briefcase for both people. So yeah, check all that stuff out there at either through Smark at Moment or at www.fantasyleague.com.
So, as a reminder again, Money in the Bank, Worlds Collide happening before that. And before even any of those happen, we have another round of the hot tags on Friday. We will talk about R-Truth and Carlito and whatever else is happening in the world of pro wrestling over this course of these next couple days. We'll talk about if the TNA world title changes hands tonight, which it's not going to, against Trick Williams defending against Mike Santana. We'll talk about if Miles Bourne is able to leave No Quarter Catch Crew, whatever happens on Fyter Fest tomorrow, and the 4-hour Dynamite / Collision episode of AEW, and break down all that good stuff, all the bad stuff, anything else in between. But stay tuned for all that stuff happening, and we will see you next time around. For now, this is another Smark Out Moment, and we are being counted out.